How did you get a separate genealogy library from everything else? Because I know most places I research, it's all combined. It's not like a separate place like this
Well,
library.
East Baton Rouge Parish has that. Right now, theirs is located in the Bluebonnet
Yes.
Regional Library.
Yes.
But this parish only started having a genealogy library, I would say, within the past 10 years. Now, I've worked for this library system for 30 years.
Do you
and
get a lot of visitors during the day?
It depends. Some days I have more people than I know what to do with. And then other days, I don't have anyone come in. But I get a lot of telephone calls and letters saying, and this is just sort of the generic conversation. Well, my family lived in Tangipahoa Parish at some time. When did they live here? Who was it? Where did they live? And what is it you want to find out about them? So if this is information that someone is calling from Wyoming or New York State, and that happens, then I'll find out all I can about what it is they really do want to find, and then I will do research and send it off to them.
Do you get a lot of African Americans coming in and doing more research? Are they
I
starting
will
to come
say
in?
that in the past 3 years, that the percentage of African Americans coming in to check their families, and lots of people have been working on the family history. In fact, I had a lady call me just the first part of this week, and she said that she would have finally finished her book, and she'd been working on it here off and on, and she said that, the help that I'd given her was really very much appreciated, and I was glad to hear that.
Are
Anyway,
more families donating their books to the library?
Yes, when
Or-
lots of times, in fact, I'd say most of the people that I've ever helped with doing family research have ultimately donated a copy of their book to this library.
So you
You
have
did.
files, yeah.
You
And
did.
you also have individual files too, huh?
We have file folders. Once I said do a search, like when I said something about when people would call me up from somewhere, I will make a copy of whatever I send them
I put it in the file.
and put it in the file, because it's the percentages are pretty good that somebody else will come along at some point sooner or later and want to check that family also.
So this is a reference library. You don't check out anything.
No,
here,
we
you
don't,
just-
because so if it's here today, it'll be here tomorrow.
Right.
And you can't always say that. This library did at one time check out genealogy books, but that was not a good idea, because some people decided they needed it worse than we did.
And it wasn't being returned back to the library.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why this is only a reference library.
So you're getting a new library, I understand?
Well,
It's in the making?
yes, it's in the making. We hope that it will be built and we will be in it sometime in 2012.
Okay. Would this library remain separate from it, or would it all be
No, this will be all in the same
all in
building.
the same building? Great.
Yes, it's expected to be a two-story building, and the genealogy library will be upstairs. Of course, there will be an elevator as well as a
Great,
staircase.
great. Now, what
And
about children? Are you getting more young people that have an interest in family histories now?
that varies a lot from time to time. A lot of it depends on what kind of an assignment kids have had in school. But I'll tell you something. About 30 years ago, or maybe 35 years ago now, an English teacher here in Amite had this assignment for kids in her class. I think it was probably about 8th grade. So she had them write down everything they knew about their parents, their grandparents, and if they knew anything about them, their great-grandparents. Well, somehow or another, this library fell heir to those papers, and they
Oh,
are
really?
in our file cabinets over here. And you'd be surprised how much help that little bit of information written down in childish handwriting and expressed in a childish kind of way, how much help that has been to various people coming in here.
Yes,
Because that's primary information right there, primary source.
that's right, that's right. Well, there's a lot of material, and I see you are constantly ordering new books, so thank you for that.
I'll say this, whenever there's anything published that relates to this parish and genealogy in this parish, we will buy it.
Well, I'm happy to hear that the
And-
budget hasn't been cut for that.
No, it hasn't. Well, this library system, each parish library funds itself from property taxes in that particular parish. So the only way that the state libraries, or the state's cuts, budget cuts have affected us is the fact that until last year, Ancestry.com Library Edition was available on any library computer.
Yeah, I remember the cutback for that, yeah.
But our director decided we needed that.
Yes.
We would pay for it.
Yeah, because it's a
And
part
all-
of what you do.
Yes, it is. It's very essential to what we do. And also, he decided we needed a different database available online, and that's Heritage Quest, and that's a very good one, too. One of the, Heritage Quest has census information, but it also has some other things in it, too. It has information about people who belong to the Freedmen's Bank. This was in existence for about 2 years,
Yeah.
during the time right after the
So
Civil
that
War.
database is available?
That's available on Heritage Quest. The thing about that is, if your ancestor was a depositor, then there's a lot of information, very specific personal information,
For the
that's
application,
available on those applications that you are not going to find anywhere else.
Well, I was not one of the people that was fortunate enough to have a family member. It wasn't that much that came from this area of Amed
right.
there at that time, but,
Well, most of the people who did belong to the Freedmen's Bank either belonged to it in somewhere in North Louisiana, probably Shreveport,
Yeah.
and also in New Orleans.
Yeah.
But there were some that I have run
Very
across
few.
from this area who
Uh-huh.
had lived in this parish.
now what is your hours of operation here?
We're open from 8:30 to 3, Monday through Friday. We take off on federal holidays.
All right, well, thank you so much. We're just gonna browse around a little bit and look at all this richness that you have in here as it relates to family history.
Well, I hope to be able to put my hands on that book I mentioned to you, the Emily Kroom book, because
Okay.
that's really, really very good. I like her style. It's very down to earth. It's not awfully scholarly, and if you want to
Yeah.
find this out, go here. If you
I
want to
have
find
one
something
question.
else.
You think in 2012 we can see, 2011, we can see more genealogy seminars and special guests to come in and speak here at this library? Because
No.
sometimes we have to drive to Blue Bonnet Library in Baton Rouge, when there's something special going
Well,
on.
I don't know. I'd have to take that up with the director.
Yeah, would you please consider that? Because I know sometime,
The thing about it is, here, we're trying to build a new library, and that's
Okay,
the thing
yeah.
that really takes precedence. That's at the very top of any list.
so I guess after you get the new library, then you probably
Then-
would
well-
have.
Well, that's true, because in addition to everything else that's planned there's a meeting room that's
Yes.
planned into that.
Great,
Because we have this room, but it's still
right.
is not really set up for sizable meetings. And I think if we ever did have a genealogy workshop or whatever,
Yes,
then there
yes.
would be a number of people who would
Right,
come.
because I've driven to New Orleans, to Baton Rouge, and to
Well,
other
you've
places.
done some here
Lafayette.
yourself.
Yes,
But I think that's something we can really look forward to take place in the new library.
yeah, I think so. I think it would be enriching to have special guests to come in and speak
Mm-hmm.
about the history and how-tos, or family members that have been doing their genealogy for a very long
Right,
time.
because lots of people say, well, when they come in and want to do their family history, they say, well, what should I do?
Right,
Well,
right, right.
find out everything you can about your family, and
That's the
then
first
see
step.
what kind of evidence you can find for that,
Yes.
whatever the family myth or legend is.
That's right. Well, we thank you so much,
You're
Ms.
welcome.
Lenore. Thank you, as always. Okay. Okay, so we just.